Hello, and welcome to a session of Centennial College at the library. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce you to my favorite Springer Spaniel. Her name is Scamp, and as you can tell from the caption below, Sir, the dog ate my assignment again. Scamp has gotten me and many other students out of a whole heap of trouble over the years. So keep this in mind as your next assignment approaches. Now let's get started. As you might expect, the library is at home on the web. You can find us at library.centennialcollege.ca. Today's session will review some of the collection items that will help you in your legal studies programs. Speaking of accessing the collections, it's as easy as drawing on your MyCentennial login credentials. The library is here virtually to help students in many ways. One of those ways is an Ask On service, a real-time chat service where you can speak or chat directly with library personnel. Here's a snapshot of the screen of the Ask On screen, and here's a typical question. You might start by saying, "Dear library guy, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would?" Okay, maybe not that question exactly, but you get the idea. Speaking of the virtual library, one of the things we've tried to do to open up our print collection is offer a grab-and-go service where you, the student, could sign out books from the print collection. Here are some examples of keeping up with the times. However, in our new lockdown mode, we've had to temporarily suspend the grab-and-go service. We're working on ways to open up the print collection in other ways. But for now, you can turn to part 2 and have a look in our ebook collections. Let's do that now. So we'll zip over to the library's homepage, library.centennialcollege.ca, and we'll check out one of these online book collections. We'll do that through the e-resources tab. And here we'll open a collection. We'll have a look in College Complete ebooks. With one click, we go on to the part where you enter your MyCentennial login credentials. This will take me a second, so bear with me. And we'll cross our fingers to make sure I entered that correctly. Oh good, we're in. One thing to note is, once you sign in, you don't have to sign in again. Let's try this. We'll look for Law is Not for Kids. This is the title of an interesting book. And we'll just see what the collection can do for us. Here we go. A brief record of information. The Law is Not for Kids, a legal rights guide for Canadian children and teens. We'll open that up. And you see there's a couple of options. You can read online, download the book, and so forth. Let's read online. Reading online means you can sift through the different chapter headings, or you can also turn it page by page, and you can search by keyword within the book. Let's do that. We'll search for the occurrences of victim in the pages of this book. And here we can see it pops up in a few different chapters. We'll go to Chapter 8, Being in Conflict with the Law, and we'll see where our search terms emerge. The first example is here on page 220. And as you will note, our search words appear in violet, bold over. We can skip to another page, and there again, so you can easily read in context. Another feature of our online book collections is the following. You can go back to the book itself, and you can access subject headings or words and phrases that describe the material within this particular book. The advantage here is that you can find other similar materials on these different subject headings. So here are some subject heading examples. We'll try the first one, Children, Legal Status, Laws, etc. Canada. This subject heading will take us to other books on this very same idea. We have a list of over 300 titles. You could arrange them by publication date, for example, so the most current items appear first in the list. We can scroll down and see what comes up. Things like pet law and custody, establishing a worthy and equitable jurisprudence for the evolving family. Perhaps our friend Scamp might be interested in this one. So you can see you can search by title, by author, use the subject headings, and include your own keyword, your own descriptive words in the search process. That's an example of using one of our online book collections. Let's move on. As you can see, in addition to our printed material, we have over 100,000 ebooks for you. Of course, the library is not simply about online books. It's also about accessing articles published in magazines, journals, newspapers, and so forth. This is a sample interface for your typical magazine and journal collection. Let's read together. Are you stressed? Are you having a bad day? Can I get that article for you? Wouldn't the world of research be simply sublime if research was actually like this? If the interface spoke directly to you and empathized with your plight and offered to help immediately? Of course we know research is not exactly like this. Here is another search interface for a magazine and journal collection, and it looks simply like this, a blank screen staring at you, waiting for you to make the first move. Sometimes I think this is the way professors feel when they look out at invisible students. Anyhow, let's move on. Let's open one of these collections. And we'll open one of these collections that makes sense or is of greater interest to you, students of law. As you'll see, we have access to Quick Law and Law Source. Let's dip into Quick Law for a minute. We'll return to the library's homepage and switch gears and have a look in our Quick Law database. We'll start afresh. And we'll zip over to Quick Law. And as you can see, once we've logged in already into the ebook collection, there's no need to log in again to get to Quick Law. Let's do a straightforward search. We'll have a look and see what Quick Law has to say about workplace harassment. And you can work with some of the features that allow you to narrow things down to, in this case, why don't we see what's involved with boards and tribunals in Ontario as it relates to workplace harassment. We'll search away. And several things come up, over 2,000 unique cases, including the first one, Hamilton versus the Amalgamated Transit Union, Local 107. And here we have the full text of this particular case. And as you can see, your search terms are highlighted in green bold over. Of course, this particular database has many other features, but let's continue on with our introduction. Of course, as you're writing your paper and as you're putting it together, or your report, citation tools come to mind. We have a few available within the library. You'll have access to the Chicago Manual, to Academic Writer Program, which dips into everything APA, and of course you have access to the Canadian Guide to Uniform Legal Citation, or the McGill Manual. Let's go there. We'll follow the same procedure that we use to access Quick Law and our ebook collection. We'll start afresh, and we'll load up the Canadian Guide to Uniform Legal Citation. And as you can see, we have direct access. Opening the 9th edition. Everything is available in a table of contents format, nicely laid out. And we'll open up very quickly E3, Jurisprudence, the general form, which does just that. It overwrites overviews the general form, followed by some examples. As you go on in section E3, you can have a look at what each of these features mean. We're approaching the end of our introductory talk. Before we get there, I wanted to show you one more thing. Within the library, we've put together a number of library guides to help you with various topics. There is even a specific guide for the paralegal program, and there are guides that will help you with critically thinking about information and the information sources. Let's take a little jaunt over to those, and we'll have a brief look at our library guides. We'll return to the library's homepage and open up the guide section under Popular Resources, Library Guides. There are several to peruse. We'll have a look under All Guides, scroll down the list, and land right about here. As you can see, there's a guide to paralegal resources, as well as this one that'll highlight the pandemic moment, your guide to critically thinking about information. Of course, within legal studies programs, critically thinking about information and the sources of that information is a very important skill. While this guide delves into the pandemic moment, or at least a subsection of it, captured in a particular time and space, the main idea behind the guide is to help you think critically about information. And finally, of course, as you make your way through the pages, with a bit of luck, you will emerge from this guided tour well positioned in your own research process, having sharpened your eye for information and the sources of that information. And to wrap up, the library staff, I like to think of them and us as the friendliest people you'll encounter, perhaps within Centennial College. And by way of summary, my name is Richard Sims. I can be reached at rsims@centennialcollege.ca. Best of luck in your program, and thank you for listening.